Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney and today we are talking about, I know all the news, Joann's closing, mass panic, should I got to get there right now to buy things, anyway. I went to my local Joann's. We're going to talk about it, about what I would buy, what I would not buy, what I would wait on, and talk a little bit about that today. But before we get into that, today is Friday, which means we have a Love Notions Feature Friday pattern, and it is the Fraser cardigan. The Fraser cardigan, it's kind of I don't even know how to describe it. It kind of has like a scoop in the front, like the front doesn't end. It's a very easy sew, but a really great layering piece. I made one when the pattern was very first released. It is $5 today only, so a great time to grab at if you are needing some new cardigan patterns in your stash for the upcoming changing seasons. And with my code Whitney10, you can get an additional 10% off that sale price. So today's a great time to grab that if you don't have it in your catalog already. Also, today is the last day for my Pattern Fitting 101 cart. So I have opened up the cart for my Pattern Fitting 101 class. That cart closes tonight at midnight. So so we've got now until then. If you want to know any of the details, I will link the live Q&A that I did back on Monday, as well as just the description page, the sales page that has a whole bunch of questions asked there. But if you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out and ask those. I am happy to answer those. And then finally, so we are going through all of this stuff about Joann's, and oh gosh, a few weeks ago, I did a video on that and like, okay, where are we going to buy our stuff now? You guys came through with so many different fabric stores in all parts of the world. So Jenny has worked very hard and put together a sheet with links and everything of all the online places where you can shop for fabric and notions and all that sort of thing, divided up by country. And we're adding to that. So it went out to our newsletter subscribers, but we're actually putting it onto the website. So if you go to the website, it's actually a pop-up right now, and you can go ahead and download that sheet, free, it's free, I will leave a link to, there's an actual page. It'll be on there a lot. But if you notice that your favorite place is missing, send us there's a contact me form that's there on the website. Send us that list and we will update that as we go. So I've not shopped all of these. As a disclaimer, I've not shopped all of these. These all have been recommended by viewers. I've shopped some of them, quite a few actually, but I've not shopped all of them. So these are recommendations, not just from me, but from all of you viewers as well. So that is just kind of our gift to you. And it'll be on the website and I will have that link down below. But if you go to tomcatstitchery.com, that will actually just be a pop-up right now that you can immediately go to. Okay, so let's get into today's video. We are talking all about the biggest news. Joann's store, if you are in the US, I mean, obviously this impacts really only those of us that are in the US, but it is a very large box retailer that used to be Joann Fabric. Now it's Joann Fabric and Craft, and it's been around though, I think a little over 80 years. They filed for bankruptcy, and then the news was that they were shutting 500 of their 800 stores, and then a couple weeks later it came out they're actually shutting all of the stores. I have no idea when this is happening. I have heard end of May, all stores will be shut, but I don't know that for sure. That is just what I have heard. I don't really know when your local store will be closing. I'm sure it probably differs depending on where you're at. If you were maybe one of the original ones, I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. So I can't say for sure when they're all going to be closing, but the news has been announced. I went to my local Joann's, did a little bit of filming while I was in there, and I'm going to kind of walk you through what I would or would not buy right now. So obviously the news just dropped, and the sales aren't great yet. I mean, I think they are trying to liquidate. And to be honest, my store, I have two that are close to me, but the one that I go to was on the first list to be eliminated first. And the other one was supposed to be one of the 300 that stayed open, but now obviously they're all closing. But I went in there this week and honestly, it was pretty well, fabric was like actually really well stocked. A lot of it was still like wrapped up, especially the designer stuff. As in they have a line of Eddie Bauer flannel that a lot of it was still like wrapped with the band around it and still in plastic. The Draper James fabric, they did a collaboration with them. There's some Juicy Couture like velour that was there. Lucky brand denim that also was in my store. But the sales are not great. And at least with my Joann's, you can't use coupons anymore. The coupons are now null and void. And my Joann's is no longer accepting gift cards, although that could differ from Joann's to Joann's. So yours might still be through the end of the month. I mean, I don't know. Although we're at the end of the month, aren't we? But I don't know what all of them are. Again, this is just my experience. You haven't been able to buy gift cards though since like the beginning of the year, but redeeming them, our window has closed at my local Joann's. So you may want to look into that. You may still be able to at yours. I don't know. But the sales are not great yet. Like we saw a lot of, 10% off, some 20% off. The sales just are not great yet. So I'm going to go through some things to consider before you do shop. But honestly, for most stuff, I would wait. Now, the needles were absolutely picked over. Thread was very much picked over. Although Gutermann, which is my favorite, the So All Gutermann, they had a lot in other colors, but like the white, black, navy, those had all been, your neutral colors were pretty much all gone and picked clean. The buttons were pretty much picked clean already, which I think is interesting because the prices are not that great. And that's something that we're gonna talk about here in a little bit. But keep that in mind. The big discounts, the big liquidations have not happened yet. So yeah, just keep that in mind. All right, let's talk through some things to keep in mind when you do decide to go shop. Maybe you go back a few times, whatever the case may be. Number one, shop your sewing space. Go through and take a look. This also ties in. I've got my membership that's here on YouTube. We've been having a lot of fun over there. But one of the shorts that went up was just kind of a PSA on Jenny and I cleaned our workroom. We need to do the sewing room next. But this is a great time. We're kind of still at the beginning of the year. A great time to clean out your sewing space, reorganize things, and just take inventory of what you've got. So what are the things that you use regularly? What are the things that you have an abundance of? I am famous for like, oh my gosh, look, I found, bobbins here. Oh, here's another package of bobbins. I actually have more bobbins than I ever am going to need, or whatever the case may be. But taking stock and figuring out, or maybe I thought I had a lot of elastic and actually I don't anymore. But take a little bit of a quick inventory to determine what you use regularly, what you have an abundance of, what you need, maybe things that need to be restocked, needles, for instance, thread, that sort of thing that you may go through a lot. Maybe if there's a certain, I don't like Joann's interfacing that they sell at Joann's, but it's fine for craft type stuff. So if you do use something there, such as that, you might want to stock up on something along those lines. Actually, when Hancock Fabrics closed a few years ago, I bought a bolt of water-soluble, because I had an embroidery machine at the time, water-soluble, stabilizer, and also tearaway stabilizer, like a whole bolt of them, like a fabric-sized bolt, and I'm still going through those, so that was a good grab. But yeah, keeping those things in mind of shopping your space before you actually go shopping. Number two, know the prices. Is this a good deal? For instance, and hopefully I'm showing you footage of us at the Joann's. Schmetz needles were $8.99 a package. That is ridiculous. They were 20% off, still ridiculous. I can get a pack of Schmetz needles from Wawak for, I think, $4.49, and they go on sale all the time for even less than that. So keep that in mind. That was not a good buy. That was not good to stock up on all of those when I could buy them for much less online. Do keep in mind, with things online, it could be that you need to pay for shipping. So I think Wallwack, you have to have a order of 100 or more for the free shipping, which I a lot of times hit because I order I order everything through there pretty much as far as notions. But keep that in mind, no matter where you're shopping, that if you are doing price comparisons, you may need to pay for shipping and to calculate that into the cost as well. But $8.99 for a package of needles is ridiculous. So that's just an example, but know the prices. And if something is a good deal, is the thread a good deal? Yeah, it's on sale, but again, not a big sale. So just keep all of that in mind as you are shopping. Number 3, is there anything you need for any upcoming projects? For instance, if you plan on, I'm going to be making, 3 quilts this year. Well, maybe stocking up on some quilt batting is a good idea. Or, I really want to delve into swimsuit making this summer. I'm going to need a lot of swimsuit elastic. Okay, maybe that's something that you want to also invest in. So just take a quick thought of what are some things that I'm going to need for any upcoming projects that I have. Are you making your daughter's prom dress? Maybe take a look at the trims. Is there anything there that you might want for that project? So keeping kind of a broad overview of some things that you might be working on and taking those into consideration. Also, number 4, any kind of equipment upgrades. Again, the sales aren't great yet, but they will be. So do you need a new iron? They have Oliso irons there at Joann's. I'm trying to think. They may have just had the displays though. They may have sold out of the actual irons, but lights, cutting mats, maybe new scissors or new rulers, upgrading your measuring tape, whatever the case may be when it comes to equipment. Take a kind of a look and see if there's anything that possibly you might want to upgrade. And, but keeping in mind as well, have your phone with you there in the store and do some price comparison. Is this still a good deal? Can I get this cutting mat, for instance, for less somewhere else? Again, taking into consideration the cost of shipping and that sort of thing. So just keeping all of that in mind and not just going into panic mode. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But yeah, looking through that. So make sure you're doing some price compare. All right, let's talk a little bit about the actual, the fun stuff like fabric. Check the fabric. Now, the clearance area or the last chance area, those are a good buy right now because they've got an additional, whatever it is, 20% off. And that stuff does, once it's gone, it's gone. So definitely look through those sections right now. The fabric itself, though, not on a great discount yet. Now, if you are looking at some of the designer stuff are really good quality, for instance, I really wanted to try a pair of jeans. They've got this Lucky Brand denim. Yeah, you may want to go ahead and grab that because once any of this is gone, it's gone. So if there's something specific that you're wanting, you probably want to buy sooner rather than later or risk it being completely sold out and not being able to get your hands on it. So there is that balance of that game. If there's something that you do really want, it could be gone later if you sit around and wait for discounts to happen. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go. So quality stuff you may want to go ahead and grab. The same for patterns. Patterns, again, were not on a great discount. I think they were 30% off. All the patterns were 30% off at my Joann's, but that's off the sticker price, right? So that is, a Vogue pattern, Jenny and I were looking, is like $35 normally. When have any of us paid $35 for a Vogue pattern? We always wait for it to go on like the $5.99 sale, especially when they used to do that very frequently. So yeah, keeping that in mind, 30% off $35 is still a pretty good chunk of change. I think the McCall's and the Nomi pattern Simplicity were around $16 a pattern, which is what I pay for independent patterns. I'm absolutely fine with that. But yeah, just 30% off now. My drawers were still pretty stocked. The displays on the top were pretty rough. People have been obviously rifling through them. I feel like the books weren't out. So you may want to go online, pick what patterns you want to look for, those numbers, and then go into your store to look for those. Yeah, don't expect, maybe your books are out, but maybe they aren't. So maybe just have a list of the numbers that you're actually looking for. So you can go in and easily, the drawers were organized at mine, but the stuff on top, the display ones were really kind of a mismatch. So just keeping that in mind as well. Other crafting stuff. If you're a knitter or you do cross stitch or embroidery, go ahead, take a look through those areas as well, but make sure you're buying enough for an entire project. So if you're wanting to knit a sweater with this yarn, maybe buy a skein extra just so you don't run out. Because if you run out, what are the odds of you being able to, you can't just run back in and grab it. So keeping that in mind as well. I know that Jenny's mom was at her local Joann's and noticed that there was someone buying like all of the embroidery floss, like in all the colors, which is great if you do a ton of embroidery or cross stitch or whatever the case may be. But this brings me to another point. Do you need all of the embroidery floss? Let's not be hoarders, folks. Let's take a minute. It is so easy, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone else. But when they put that panic in you that all these stores are closing, like I'm never going to be able to get embroidery floss again. Well, that's obviously not the case. Other places sell embroidery floss. You'll be able to get embroidery floss at a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby. There's going to be other places or online to get your embroidery floss or your yarn or whatever the case may be. So let's not panic. If you're not going to use something within the next 3 years, maybe don't buy it. And I feel like that's being kind of generous. Even when it comes to fabric, are you just buying this fabric because it is on deep discount? Which, not to say, if you want to pick up some fabric yardage for muslins or toiles or wearable muslins, practice garments, this is a great time. I would wait till the discounts get really deep where you don't really care that it's an ugly print or whatever the case may be. But that can be a great option. Just really consider, am I buying this just because it's on sale? Because if you're only buying it because it's on sale, you're wasting your money. And this is something that I had to learn for myself and kind of just in shopping in general. Don't always, in fact, Jennifer McNamara talks about this a lot. Don't shop the sale racks. If you're just buying it because it's on sale, that's not a good deal. So kind of same thing. So we don't want to just collect to be collecting. We want to make sure that these are things that we will be using soon. Something that we do really love for it to actually be a good deal. So keeping all of that in mind. Is this fabric going to be something that you're going to love in the next 3 years? And if it is, probably you're going to want to use it sooner rather than later. So, stocking up maybe on some standard stuff, like, I don't know, cotton twill and some solid colors, or cotton lawn and some solid, things like that might, you may want to use later on down the road, but you're not really sure. If you are a quilter, stuff that you may want to use for quilt backings, that kind of stuff. Yes, that absolutely makes sense. Just be intentional about what we are buying. Jenny and I did not buy anything when we were at ours. We were just kind of walking through. We were open to buying stuff if there was stuff that we just absolutely needed and trying to be mindful. The line was ridiculously long. And this was, let's see, we were there on a Monday afternoon. So, I'm not sure. There were a lot of people in there. So don't get so sucked into the panic that they are wanting to create. Obviously, Joann's wants to, get rid of all this inventory as they're getting ready to close their doors. So just kind of keep that in mind. Another thing to maybe consider, and I don't know this for sure, but I know other stores that have closed their doors completely. A lot of times they'll be willing to sell the displays. So the furniture and that sort of thing, like pattern drawers, those Simplicity, Vogue, McCall pattern drawers. If you've got space for one of those, I do not. But that might be something that you want to think about as well. That won't happen until the very end, I'm sure, but something to keep in mind of some of those. I'm trying to think of what the word I'm looking for. Fixtures, I guess. There's a word for it, but keeping your eye on some of that stuff as well, because that, I'm sure your local one, depending on where you are, they will be wanting to get, they don't want anything left over, so they'll be willing to sell probably just about anything. So again, that won't happen until the very, very end, I'm sure, but something to keep in mind. Okay, I think that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below. Other than that, happy shopping. And again, don't forget to head over to the website if you would like a list of online shops where you can get some really beautiful fabrics. I actually have a fabric haul coming for you guys here soon. I had a couple of birthday coupons for my birthday month here in February from a couple of stores that I went and bought a couple of things. So I've got a little bit of a haul to show you guys of some stuff that I picked up. So that will be coming soon, as well as my spring ready-to-wear looks. I've got that video already filmed, 10 ready-to-wear looks and patterns and fabric you can use to recreate them yourselves, as well as some other, we've got a couple of pattern releases that are happening in March that are very exciting, as well as in April that I know about. Just a lot of really fun, ton of fun stuff. So make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on any of the content going forward. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Friday, and I will see you guys again next week. Bye.